They break through the thunder clouds, their approach on a bird of blackened steel. Dressed in midnight clad, their blades abuzz with the inevitable blood. In the podcast known as
Trapped Under Plastic, the podcast for blue space marine painters. Shout out to Ultramarines, the lamest chapter of all. John, how you doing? Also, where the fuck did that come from? Did you write that in your head on the way up here?
Yeah, it's all going to make sense later on in the Preamble Ramble.
Okay.
For Uncle John's Book Club.
What's the first book you read in Uncle John's Book Club? You just sprayed me with
I sprayed you with my bang.
Yeah. You want some bang?
Yeah. Any of the gutty peepees want to bang?
I fucked it up. I fucked the joke up.
You fucked up the joke.
Fuck!
It writes itself, and you still fucked it up.
You want some bang? That's like, you want some fuck? All right, we're getting real spicy here in the beginning.
I haven't even sipped the bang yet.
No, you haven't. Okay. What's the first book?
I still want to bang, though.
What's the? Okay. You can talk. You can bring that up with your wife later. Yeah. What's the first book in John's Book Club?
The Night Lord's Omnibus.
Okay, I thought it'd be the Holy Bible.
Holy Diver!
There it is. All right, out of the Preamble Ramble. What kind of cup man are you? Are you the kind of man that goes into a restaurant, orders a soda pop, and then gets a cup with ice, and then puts the soda in the cup, or are you always just drinking drinks and various liquids out of the bottle that they came in?
No, I don't drink it out of the bottle. What am I, cretin? I paid for someone else to wash that goddamn cup. If I had to wash the cup myself, I ain't drinking out of it.
See, I feel like when I get a soda at a restaurant, if it's not bottomless sodas, and I have to conserve that soda over the course of a meal, it gets all melty and nasty. So I want to keep it in that cup so that it doesn't get diluted by water, or the bottle or can or whatever it came in.
It's all about full control over carbonation.
Absolutely.
And so I empathize with your need of not getting flat soda.
Yes.
But the opposite is often far worse in my eyes, and that is a soda is often overcarbonated within the can or bottle. You need that cascading down, trickle through the ice to get that initial carbonation defuzzed.
Okay.
As it were.
Take the edges off of it.
Yeah, just take the edge off a little bit.
Yeah.
Which if you're listening to this in your in Europe, specifically in England, you don't know what the hell we're talking about, because every goddamn place I went there, they just give you a goddamn can and walk away. We don't have a glass for you. I mean, it could just been the places we went to. Probably was. But I'm just this is awkward.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you definitely pour it in there. My dad, when he drinks a soda, he actually tamps it on the table 2 or 3 times to defuzz it.
What?
Yeah, he kind of does a little slam.
After he opens it, I assume.
Yeah. No, he's just in for a party.
Yeah. Boo! It's like he just won the World Series. Yeah. Every time he drinks a Pepsi.
Just fucking spreading everybody down he just won fucking Daytona. Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking Daytona.
All right, what's your Preamble Ramble?
Oh, okay. So he went to Daytona, and then I went to Channel 5 News, and then I went to the famous quote from that episode.
Yeah.
I probably can't say it.
No, wait.
Shows your butthole.
Oh, shows your butthole.
Okay, yeah.
Release your rectum. That's a good one. That's classic. You got a little note here about sound pad needs.
Oh yeah. Okay. So we have this wonderful soundboard now, and I was thinking that we should probably get some feedback from Goody PP Nation on what should be on this, right? Because there's 8 buttons. And I'm assuming there's multiple pages.
You're right. There are infinite solutions here.
Okay. And I think we need the core 8, the top 8, right? Because we ain't going to be switching on the fly. This show is recorded live. We need to be able to hit it, every time I say something funny. We have that. So we need. I
like how you remembered where it is. Because I have no fucking clue what these are yet.
This is the things that excite me in life. So... we have a couple of them that we need to add, and I'm wondering if I put this through the microphone, if it'll pick up.
Okay. Ooh, I feel I don't know if I heard that in my headphones or in the mic.
All right, I'm gonna play it again, and this is the one I would like to add. And Goody PP's tell me if you think this is worth it or not.
There it is.
Yeah, the good old Metal Gear Solid alert sound.
Yes.
right? Because it's the great thing about the Metal Gear Solid Alert sound is that it's got such a variety of uses. There's never a time you play that sound and it's wrong,
Right.
you know?
I mean, you're right.
Yeah. Like, just think of it. Like, you know, your mom calls up, grandma died.
That's definitely a time when you'd use that.
Right. I mean, that's just weird. Okay, so that works.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's a great one.
mine. And then Editor Goblin James had one. And I got to find it here. And this is a freaking classic. It's a good old Price is Right loser sound.
That's a good one.
That's good. But do you guys like those? But also, we need more help.
Is this a voting situation? Do we put this on Facebook and then have the top 8 be the top 8 on our main page here?
Yeah. We could do a poll, and you can either add more or you can vote or both.
Okay, you and I get one that we guarantee is in the top 8.
Yeah, we each get one.
And the other 6 they get to pick.
Yeah. What about? Well, I think we need to keep applause and probably air horn.
Okay.
So we got 6 to work with.
Okay.
We each get 2. That means there's 4 up for grabs.
Yeah. Again, we're figuring this out right now.
Yeah,
while recording the podcast.
This is how professional the show is. Yeah. So we got 4 up for grabs.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think we need to put in Writer Goblin James's Price is Right one because it's solid.
Yeah.
It's solid. I think it deserves a fair shot in the top 4.
Yeah, I think other options are maybe toilet flushing, maybe a fart, maybe welcome to the rice fields. Maybe just that one part.
Motherfucker.
I was trying to keep it PG. No, I've been swearing since we started recording.
You just said release your rectum.
I know. This is totally off the rails. Okay, we got some sounds. One more preamble ramble from me. I went to Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville. You're listening to some country western music.
I did, and basically that's the U.S. capital of the world when it comes to fried chicken. Yeah. I had the illustrious Hattie B's, which was really good. I really enjoyed it. And actually, the one thing I'll say about going to Nashville is, of all the cities I've ever traveled to, the ROI in terms of eating food was the highest there. And I don't mean like ROI money wise. I mean like taste wise. Oh. It's like normally if I go to restaurants, if I go to like 10 restaurants or 8 or 6 restaurants in a city, a couple of those are going to be like kind of bad. They're mostly bad. Like I'm not interested in like the main entree or whatever it is. But here, I think every place I went to like delivered like surprisingly well.
Just banger after banger.
Yeah, so I would say officially Nashville, best food destination in America so far.
So far.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I could see it.
It's good.
I could see it because it has a history and a culture, and it is a bit of a destination.
Yeah, it definitely is. Dude, the number of bachelorette parties I saw, uncountable.
Dude,
yeah.
They just kind of like streamed together. You didn't know where one ended and the next began.
Sometimes, yeah. So like at night on Broadway, the main street in downtown Nashville, on Saturday the street was closed for cars. They just closed it because there was too many pedestrians on the sidewalks. And so there's people in the streets, and like you could spin in a 360 and see 3 bachelorette parties like at any moment.
So many wiener necklaces.
So many buses with like screaming girls in them. It was nuts. It was nuts.
Wow. Did any of them offer you wiener gummies?
No, I got no wiener gummies.
Oh man,
I would have saved some for you if I had it.
You just save one sticky in your pocket.
Yeah, I kept it warm. All right, book club time. I'm assuming you're going to talk about some Night Lord stuff.
I'm going to talk about.
I am so concerned about what you think of this book. Everything is riding on the line right now.
So I'm gonna follow back on this when I've finished the omnibus, but I'm about 150 pages in.
Okay.
So I have first impressions. First impressions.
Okay. Can you tell me what has most recently happened in the story in a semi-spoiler free way?
They're meeting Abaddon.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So here's my impression. So Aaron Dembski Bowden is the author, and I've heard from many, many people that he is noted to be one of the best Black Library authors.
Yeah, he's definitely up there. He's top 5.
And he's good. Like he's a solid writer, and I respected that, and I'll let that be known from the get-go.
This is going in a bad place. This is going in a bad place. Good VPs.
He's got chops. So I'm like, it was respectable. I mean, I've read some stuff, and I was worried that it was just going to be kind of like mid-tier writing, so it makes everything like lose some substance to it.
Okay.
The term bolter porn, I now fully understand.
Okay. Yeah.
This stuff is just oozing testosterone in every paragraph. There is nothing in this. I don't want to overgeneralize, but there's nothing that isn't just like flop your dick out and flex your biceps. Like that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean it's wrong or it's bad. It is what it is. And it's just like, I don't know. It's leaning so hard into what they think you want that it's like the story isn't really a story.
Man.
It's just, it's just, let's talk about how cool these guys are. And let's try to one up every chapter about how cool they are. And there is some internal turmoil. There's very little like character depth. There is some. And it's not. It's pretty well done, but it's pretty shallow. I've enjoyed it. I have enjoyed the book, and I will finish it, which I think is it's not even in the last 2 years. It's not the worst fantasy or sci-fi book I've read. So
Right,
it's
okay.
good.
Yeah.
It's solid. They expect you to know so fucking much about this universe. You can't go a page without it referencing briefly something that you have no fucking idea what they're talking about. Like there's so many references to the Horus Heresy, so many references to how the legions work, so many references to how the traitor legions have been working with or collaborating with the demons, and that's one thing that makes the Night Lords unique. But they just touch it, so if you don't know, you don't know. And it's not a fault of this book specifically, but I feel like because this universe has no starting point, no like this is the way that things, this is the starting point, and then once you get through this series of books, you're now can set off on a million passageways. It feels like you're supposed to know bits and pieces when there's no origin for those bits and pieces, so it feels like I'm swimming. I know a bunch of things like haphazardly through understanding Warhammer and from this recent Horus Heresy event and doing my own digging on that. I would be so much more lost if I hadn't done some wiki reading on the Horus Heresy.
Okay.
And they mentioned Conrad Cruz, but never by name, multiple times so far in the book. So you don't even know who he is, what he's about, all this stuff. So that's a little bit daunting. But
Conrad Cruz.
Yeah, he's Tom's older brother.
Okay. Wait, you mean Conrad Kurz?
Yeah.
Okay.
I assume that whenever I picture him in my head, it's just Tom Cruise's head on Space Marine body.
There he goes. Yeah.
And he's talking about Scientology.
I mean, kinda.
That's really the thing that broke the Imperium apart.
Yeah, Scientology.
Like, listen, you might be the God Emperor, but have you heard of these other gods?
Yeah.
Final thing I want to talk about on this.
Okay.
Two things. First of all,
hold on, let me break in here for a moment. I really appreciate the criticism that you levied against this book, because I also feel it in movies very often, where it's like the movie thinks it knows its target audience and it's just fucking milking it like endlessly. And if like you like become aware of that, it just destroys the suspension of disbelief, because you're just waiting for it all the time. You're just like, okay, here it is. It's happening. We're talking about Space Marines again, and defining every detail of what goes on in the process, how they get dressed and how they drink. It's just like, I totally get that. That makes a lot of sense. You mentioned though about how there being little character development, and I hope that's only an issue in the first 150 pages or so, because that omnibus, and I hate to be the person that's like, you got to get past the first season, you know?
Yeah.
But I feel like I am. But I feel like those 3 books, more than anything I've read in Black Library, has a very interesting character development arc of all the people in what's the main guy's name? Is it Talos?
Talos, yeah.
Talos's Talon, which is like his group of
First Legion.
Yeah, his group of Space Marines that all go down.
First Claw, sorry.
Yeah, First Claw, exactly. That, like, yeah, his claw. Like, they have a really cool character arc. All of them do. Yeah, I think.
So far, my favorite page, because this took an entire page, was them describing what each of the 4 Marines in his claw, what their fucking helmets looked like. It was a whole page, single-spaced, tiny-ass font, talking about each of their helmets. And it's like, his was a Mark II, and he had stamped into the forehead runes in black and hand-painted a skull of a nefarious demon. And I'm like, fuck this.
Help, I can't breathe.
Yeah. I forgot what were the 2 things I wanted to talk about. Sorry. No, it's fine. No, I don't remember. The first thing is dealing with timeline in these books, because they have such a massive timeline that they reference in any given moment, because the Legion was around and these characters were around during the Horus Heresy, and they're around now 10,000 years later.
Yeah.
So it's just like that vast timeline, my puny human brain can't possibly think.
Yeah.
Right. And then I'm thinking like over 600 pages. How much can change when so little has changed?
Not much.
Over 10,000 years. So that's one thing. And the other thing, I'm not the first person to say this, but it was dreadfully clear to me of how they make Space Marines, the Astartes, out to be literal gods. They call them demigods.
Yeah.
They just kill everything.
Yeah. Like a Space Marine, a singular Space Marine is a huge fucking deal.
Yeah.
It's like it's a killing machine. When they die, that's a massive problem. Their armor, losing that is a massive problem.
Yeah, the gene seed.
Yeah, all that shit.
The gene seed.
Oh yeah.
And he does a really good job of giving some combat examples of where that's painfully true, when they're describing when they aboard the I think it's called the Sword, which is a massive ship of the Imperium. And their unit of 4 dudes take down the entire ship, almost the size of a planet.
Yeah. I know, right?
And he does a really good job of like the guy, he like camera pans over to this hardened sergeant of the most notoriously rough, tumble, hardest trained, most brutal soldiers aboard this ship. Spends like 7 pages describing this. And then in a paragraph, they're like, they're dead.
He's just clapped immediately.
The whole fucking unit is dead. And it's describing how powerful their bolters are. Okay, and so here's where my
oh yeah,
I have a problem.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about.
This does not translate to the fucking game of Warhammer 40K whatsoever, because you have a whole army of 2,000 points of gods against, I guess you have to put them against other gods, right? Because that's the only thing that matters. But so many of the other armies don't have that. How do they stand a chance? And so herein lies the issue. And what really frustrates me is like, if every Legion, if every Space Marine, if every single thing is ultra super awesome powered superhero, then none of them are.
Yeah.
Because everything, I'm reading this book, I'm like, oh my God, there's 40,000 freaking legions, and there's the top 15 that all have books and everything associated with them. It's like, it's all going to be the same shit with a different coat of paint.
Yep.
And it's like,
It kind of is. Yeah, if you read more Space Marine books, like I've read a couple, it kind of is all this just weird, incestuous, like masturbatory.
It totally is.
Yeah.
It totally is. Now, that said, I'm going to finish the book. I like it. I recognized early on what it is, and so I'm just going to allow that to happen instead of fighting it.
Yeah.
And get through it.
Sure.
I will say that I have, from this experience, had really cool ideas for building like dioramas or models or whatever.
They will keep coming.
Yeah.
I have at least 2 ideas from that series alone, and there's so many more you could do that are just so because the book is so visually descriptive.
Yeah,
it makes like making a diorama from it like almost kind of easy.
Like I want to redo my whole Night Lord's army. All kit bash where all their stuff is scavenged bits.
I know, yeah.
It's like Talos uses an Imperium Astartes chest plate.
Yeah,
with the Aquila all hacked up.
I know.
And the way they describe their helmets, they're not like these guys don't feel or look like they look like the Chaos Marines that you can buy in the store.
Yeah,
their stuff's all over the place, and like their helmets are standard Space Marine helmets that they have painted.
Not super demonic either.
Yeah, they don't have all the filigree and the fiddly shit, which I'm like, fuck yeah. I don't want to have to paint all that. And then I'm also like, I just painted that whole fucking army with all the goddamn trim. That's not even what they look like. Fuck me.
You gotta do your research first.
That's what I learned. I guess I gotta read more lore.
Read more lore.
All right, so that concludes this episode of Uncle John's Book Corner.
Book Corner. Yeah. Went from Book Club to Book Corner.
Book Nook.
All right, what have we painted? In the last stream we did, I painted Blade, specifically his samurai swords and his chest blade. Blade has a chest blade. His chest plate.
Dude, you got a fucking chest blade. It's like a unicorn, except there's a blade coming right between your nipples.
Like, hug people to death. I did some NMM on that. I don't really know what I'm doing with my Marvel Crisis Protocol minis. I only have one. I don't know if I want them to all be kind of NMM like I did my Guild Ball stuff or not. So I painted him a little bit. Probably one more session, then he's probably going to be done. Maybe, I don't know, 1 or 2 more. We'll see.
And we're streaming today.
We are.
So you can finish painting them today. I painted for that I didn't bring that model. I painted an Infinity model for my JSA army.
You got really angry while painting that model.
I did, and I want to talk about that. It was not... I was painting it with contrast, with mostly the new contrast paints, and then building up highlights. And those models are so finely detailed, and they're so small, and they're really nice. I really enjoyed it. I realized that paint style, 1, I'm probably not as experienced in that, and 2, I just was frustrated through the whole paint process, and I felt like it got me in a funk for the stream. I don't know if the viewers noticed that or not, but I was just kind of like not in a happy mood because I was just frustrated with the painting process. But I also painted 2 other things. The first thing is this Chaos Space Marine that I painted using only Army Painter paints. That's for a recent video. And learning experience through that of trying to figure out like what were the struggles with that paint and what could I do to try to mitigate that, because my goal is to paint it as best I could in 2 working days. And so really getting like smooth, even brushstroke coverage, I struggled with that. So I kind of abandoned that pretty early and just tried to build up, thinning the paint a lot because the medium is typically quite thick. That's their standard paint range. Their air range is nice. It's really weird. Like their air range, the thickness of it is more like Pro Acryls. It's not thin.
Army Painter?
Army Painter's air range, which is relatively new, and I was told it's a different recipe. So it's not thin like Vallejo's air range, which comes out like super thin, like water thin. This stuff is thicker than that, and so it worked really well with a brush. And that stuff, I had very little issues with that paint range entirely. Like
using
it with a brush.
Okay.
So it was like, gosh, if this was like their normal range, was this consistency, you probably wouldn't hear about, some of the criticisms that people have of that range.
Okay.
So I painted that. And then this is my Sister of Slaughter that I painted using my own blood.
I don't know if you saw, but I was like smelling it. I was trying to see if I could smell something.
It's got a lot of coats of matte varnish on it.
It does?
Yes.
It's still super glossy.
I know. There's a couple really weird, interesting things that I learned about painting with blood. First of all, it was really fucking fun. Over a zenithal with a heavy white zenithal, watering down blood and using it as a flesh wash is the best pale skin flesh wash I have ever used.
Don't say that.
It's freaking phenomenal. I'm not saying paint with your blood. I wouldn't recommend it because it's super finicky to work with. I tested out 5 different mediums before I began. I had a swatch chart and everything. And what I learned was blood thins so smoothly and it doesn't break down. The pigment's really small. And so,
I mean, because there are no pigments, right?
it's just it's just the platelets.
Yeah.
And so it thins down super smoothly into a really nice consistency that I just painted that whole model with only water as a medium. It flows super well. Like blood has a super high flow rate. Like it goes just like a wash into the crevices, which can be a pain when you're trying to put it opaquely on something, and it's a ton of coats to build up saturation because as it dries it becomes more transparent.
Okay, so you did a bunch of medium tests, but you ended up using water.
I just used water. Water worked the best.
Okay.
It's already thin in terms of viscosity. It's pretty thin and it's pretty transparent. So that was really interesting. The next really interesting thing about blood is how long it reactivates. It will reactivate, I don't know, as much as an hour later. Meaning you put on a coat, it is dry to the touch. You go over there with another coat, you will pull it up. You go over there with a wet brush, you can remove it just like it was oil.
I imagine you can do that forever because, like, say you bled on something and then come back the next day, you can clean it up with a washcloth, right?
Yeah, in theory, if the surface is like non-porous.
Yeah.
And everything, I assume. So what I ended up having to do was I matte varnished between every layer of paint. Wow. So it took a long time because of that fact.
Okay.
But it was cool. After all the varnish that's on it, and I did one final coat, and I did a little bit of edge highlights in white. I tried to paint in a subtractive manner where the whole thing's zenithal, and if I wanted something lighter, I couldn't paint it. I had to paint around it to paint volumes and stuff.
Okay.
Which was a fun exercise. But it would still look pretty good. And there's pictures in the video of before and after these white edge highlights. But it's just to really get some crisp definition on some surfaces. But
okay, cool.
I'm pretty happy. I was pretty it's also, I realized it as I picked it up the next day. It's kind of creepy.
It is. I was holding it. I'm kind of like, I don't want to touch this really. Also, perfect subject matter for painting with blood, right? A sister of slaughter, a daughter of Cain. Come on.
Yeah, that was it. Vince told me I should paint the avatar of Cain. I'm like, Vince, you want me to fucking bleed out and pass out? Over here, you know how big that model is, how much blood that would take? This took a lot of blood.
Really?
It takes a lot of blood because
multiple layers.
You have to build up so many layers, like her helmet and her chest bosom holder thing. Like it's so many layers to get a deep, thick, dark blood.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, this thing is still staying red, but when I did my swatches over time, it oxidizes and it gets that rusty, dark brown color. Mm-hmm. I wonder if because I varnished this, if that's going to change as well, or if it's going to stay more of this red. And so I took some footage, final footage of it then, and then I'm going to take some more when I, as we're recording, that video isn't fully made yet, at the end to see if it changes over time.
Okay. Oh, nice. That's interesting. Good little experiment.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what I painted.
The last bit of hobby thing that I did was design this weird contraption that I'm showing on the video right now. Over the last year, I got super into this YouTube channel named Alexandre Chappel. He's a European YouTuber from Oslo, and he does a lot of construction stuff. I like watching a lot of builders and makers and stuff like that. But he uses a lot of 3D printing in his carpentry projects, and so it got me interested in trying to actually figure out how to design and create something in 3D and make it. Because I feel like the biggest selling point for a 3D printer for the average person is that you can literally make anything you want and breathe it into existence. Yeah. Which is a really cool concept, but in practice, it's way harder because you have to know how to fucking make it.
Yeah.
And so I broke out Fusion 360. My first dabbling in that was when we made those little pie plinths.
Yes.
For me, you, and Vince, and Sam. And so I had some idea about how it worked, but I took his Demio course on designing and developing, I don't know what you'd call these things, little gubbins. Widgets. And he had a bunch of great advice. And so I went through several versions of this, adjusting it each time, adding this little lip here, which helped me like register where it installed, adding these ribs here along the edge, which made it more rigid and not as bendy. And then I went through like different kinds of resins, and I settled on a tooling resin from S3E20 Tech called Obsidian, Blue, Obsidian Black. And I really enjoyed this, like, I guess you could call it like a prototyping process.
Yeah.
Where like I kept, measuring it. I had like my calipers and I was measuring it initially, got those initial things. I printed like little pieces of it, like just this circular part to make sure that it fit the ball head I had correctly. I printed just this little cube here to make sure the spacing was right for the screws I had over there. I had to get a couple different inserts to go in these holes, threaded inserts from McMaster-Carr that were like the right like width and also depth for the like whatever application I was doing it for. It was really enjoyable. I really had a fun time doing that. I want to do that more. The only downside with like learning how to sculpt in Fusion 360 is it's mostly designed for applications like this. Not super great at like organic shapes like faces and stuff. So I couldn't like make a model with the knowledge that I have, unfortunately. But I can make like a rhino or like terrain or stuff like that, like super
geometric.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that building I made from scratch. I could absolutely just sculpt that. It would take me maybe like 2 days, but yeah, I could definitely do that.
Damn. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Anyway, it's working right now. I have one over there installed on one of my cameras for whatever need I needed it for. I don't need to get too specific because it's like mostly camera stuff, but yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Cool. Yeah, it's always when I think of that, and I saw that you did that from your Patreon post that you did.
I'm so flattered that you read those and look at those.
Yeah, well, I need to figure out what you're doing wrong because I'm making fun of you later for it.
Okay, nice.
I was just like, man, that's super cool, and also I would not have the patience to do that. My version would be a couple of blocks of wood and some duct tape and make it work.
You could buy it. You could buy stuff to do it. It would just cost like $100 a camera, and I'm like, I ain't spending $100 a camera to fucking secure an HDMI cable.
Especially since it's learning that is like it's foundational learning that you can build upon.
Yeah,
you can. It's like I'm not just doing this so I know how to make this. I also get a thing at the end, but I can use this knowledge for other things, and my mind will be open to looking at it that way in the future.
Yeah, and cool. I've already applied this knowledge. We have a box fan at home that's got a knob on the back, and the knob fell off, and we lost it, and it's like a little pin. And so I 3D designed a knob with a receptacle, a little hole in it for that pin, and we shoved it on, and now it's got a knob again. I'm just like, look at me. I'm something.
I think engineer
is
the word.
I think Da Vinci is the word. No, okay, just kidding.
No 3D printer? Don't like dealing with convoluted 3D printer settings? Well, no problem. This month's sponsor, Minis Monthly, has got you covered.
Specializing in creating high-quality resin miniatures at an affordable price, Mini Monthly has a Patreon set up to deliver 3D printed minis to you every month.
With 8 tiers ranging from $16 a month for new subscribers all the way up to $60 a month, you are sure to find something that fits into your budget and miniature obsession.
Their top tier, aptly named the Dungeon Master, includes 5 small, 3 medium, 1 big, and 1 boss miniature each month. Additionally, every set of minis has an epic theme to it.
July's theme is Into the Crypts. I don't know what the Crypt Keeper's voice sounded like, but let's just assume that was it.
Like the witch from Snow White.
Into the Crypts, we'll say that again, which will get a lot of use because as a D&D player myself, I can tell you that you can never have too many googly booglies and skeletons and googly boys.
Okay. What are googly booglies?
Those are unnamed undead.
Okay.
That's what I call them.
Okay.
So if I'm like, hey, Sexy T Joshi, go into the box of undead over there and pick me on a couple of googly booglies, he knows just what to look for.
Perfect. The minis you're seeing right now, however, are for their August release called Desert Ruins, inspired by ancient Egypt. Good characters based on the likes of the Sphinx, the god Anubis, and many other fun designs.
Also, as a bonus, all the patrons of Minis Monthly get a never-ending 10% off coupon from their website, minismonthly.com.
Cha-ching. Here you'll be able to purchase singles of each of their designs. Viewers of this show can also get 10% off with the coupon code TUP now until the end of August.
Lastly, Minis Monthly wanted us to tell you goody peepees that they have a design service. So if you need a special mini created just for you on like a dog's body, or a dog's head on your body, or a dog's tail on a dog's body,
Or your body with dog arms.
or just your dog. Their sculptors and artists can make that for you. Incoming a lot of dog requests from Minis Monthly.
So check out Minis Monthly's Patreon and website. Both things linked down in the show notes or description, depending on where you're listening. Thank you to Minis Monthly for sponsoring this episode. Now on to the main topics. All right, as we said, we have a couple topics for today. We're doing a little 3-topic mini series for you.
Yeah, the studio audience approves.
Yeah, they like that idea a lot.
See, what we've learned is that we can't pay attention for very long.
No.
So if we jump around to different questions, then we don't get bored.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are all questions brought to us by our patrons.
Mm-hmm.
And we got this fancy little import document thing that they can import their questions.
Yeah.
And then we can answer them like today.
Yeah. Some questions aren't like deep enough to be an entire episode, but they're interesting questions anyways, and that's what these ones are.
Yes.
Your favorite non-hobby specific tools to use, from Dustin Ross, who is also one of the sponsors of this episode. This is your buddy, and I think he made a whole video about this topic, right? Like non-hobby tools to use.
Yeah.
I think the first one, the quintessential non-hobby tool, is a hairdryer.
Is Italian hand.
Yeah, a little bit of that.
It's a hair dryer.
I think that gets a lot of mileage, at least in my hobby.
Yeah, I have a heat gun, and
Yeah, you're so fucking extra.
pro tip: if you don't have a heat gun, you don't need a heat gun.
Persist that way.
If you have a cheapo hairdryer you got from the Goodwill, that'll do.
Okay.
Because the heat gun, the key with the heat gun is you got to turn the heat. First of all, you got to get one that's got adjustable heat settings, or you will melt fucking everything. And then you have to turn the heat setting all the way down to the coolest, so you don't melt your plastic or your resin.
Yeah.
And then you're just using a hairdryer, but it looks way cooler.
Yeah.
So, there's that.
Yeah. Okay. What's one of your favorite non-hobby tools?
Okay, my number one is 3M double-sided foam tape. And I will preach this until the day I die. I have talked with an executive from 3M. I want to make my own.
Have you?
Yes, I have.
Wow.
In charge of adhesive division.
Wow, what a title.
Yeah. Like, that's a fucking job, dude. Yeah.
So you're just shitting on him while asking him for help?
Yeah, it's small world because 3M is based out of Minnesota.
Yeah.
And my college roommate knows this guy, and he's like, hey, I watched your video. I know the guy. You should talk to him. And I was like, sweet, let's talk to him. So I had an initial conversation, but this was like a year ago about it, and I need to follow up with him. But why this stuff works so great is because you have a ton of flexibility on whatever you want to use for a handle to hold your minis in. You can use, I just use like an 1.5-inch width dowels. Go buy a dowel from your local big box store, cut it up, boom, for $1.95 you have 15 mini handles. Or you can use whatever else. If there's something more ergonomic, you can use that as well. You just put that foam tape on there, stick your mini on. It's the perfect stickiness. You can pop it off, but it's not going anywhere, even heavy metal bottles. It's just perfect. I love it. Since I found it, the only reason that I even tried all these different things and landed on that was because I had the constant frustration with goddamn Blue Tack not working like it's supposed to work.
All of those things suck. I hate them all.
I know. Yeah, that's a big one. Another cheap, free, and easy one is painting stir sticks that I steal from Menards.
How could you?
Yeah, that's how I prime on stuff.
There are starving kids in Africa that could use those sticks.
I know. They would eat them.
Okay. Yes.
Apparently, if they're starving, they're like, stir sticks.
Yes.
So those are two immediate ones that are cheap or free. The good thing about the 3M double-sided foam tape isn't cheap.
No, yeah, it isn't.
It's like $10-15 for a roll, but it lasts you so long because the only thing that stops it from being reusable is when you prime and the prime hits some of the sticky parts.
Yeah. I would also say, to make that go further, because I like stuck down all of my Dark Eldar to popsicle sticks, and I realized you do not need a full width piece of tape to stick a base down.
Yeah.
If you cut that strip in half, which if you like, what is it, like the 3/4 or 1 inch thick strip, if you cut that in half and you put that down on whatever you're using, a stir stick or popsicle stick, the base will stick just fine to it. It is strong enough for like that kind of application where you're like spraying a bunch of shit all at once. So save some tape and do that. I would recommend.
Yeah. I mean, and I haven't done this myself yet, but I should have. When you're going to take like a stir stick, or I've even used like a long 1x2 piece of plywood for really, when I did my like I don't know, 120 zombies or some shit.
Yeah.
I took a long ass thing and I just ran the tape all the way out. It takes you more time, but don't do that because you end up like wasting half again as much tape as you actually need. You should cut individual slices and put them down separated, how the models will be separated on the board to prime them all at the same time.
Yeah, but that's a lot of work if you got 120 zombies though.
Most people aren't going to paint 120 zombies.
Okay, yeah, I suppose. If you're doing 10 dudes at a time, that's more, you know, digestible.
Also, a funny side story on that experience. For that, because I had to use so much to paint all those zombies, I bought the cheap stuff, the off-brand stuff of the foam tape from Menards, and I would not recommend that because I couldn't get the models off. It stuck like it was fucking super glue, and I had to like wedge them out with the razor blade, and they would be like, pew, and they'd shoot everywhere. Broken zombie hands galore. Luckily, they're zombies, so it didn't matter.
Didn't really matter. They're missing a hand.
Yeah. You got another one?
Whenever I think of like non-hobby tools, I think of things like I don't know, like calipers, 1, 2, 3 blocks, like rulers, right angles, like a machinist square, like things like that, or like maybe like a hot wire cutter. But those are all kind of like a tape measure or a measuring tape. Yeah, that's the same thing, just reversed. That can be used in many things. It's supposed to. That's by design. So I'm having a hard time thinking of other things. I love. I like to go to a resale store and find a tiny food processor that's like shitty and use that to grind up all manner of things into smaller things. Like when I go out and like when I get dirt and I want to make dirt smaller and then like cook it in the oven to dry it out, I'll pop it in the food processor, fucking grind it up. I have like a dirty one that's nasty.
You too can make big dirt into small dirt.
Yes, by just traveling to your local resale store and getting a food processor.
I just picture someone walking in there like, oh, I'm going to go and make a big thing into small thing. I'm going to take this whole handful of rocks and put it in here.
Don't do rocks. That doesn't work very well.
Don't do rocks. You could do it with like bark and shit like that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You could do like, I know that Luke Towan, he will get like debris from outside, like leaves and little wood chips and stuff, and he'll grind that up and he'll use that for ground cover for like his dioramas, like under trees for like leaf fall and stuff like that, and like kind of like differentiate like a bunch of grass, because like static grass can look kind of weird when it's just static grass to apply with an applicator. It's like turf almost.
Yeah, especially when there's no terrain nor like change in texture.
Yeah,
because that's the thing, is everything is like super smooth, like it's a fucking Beetlejuice board. Like it doesn't look or feel as correctly, so you just need something that brings some organic inconsistent texture about. I don't have one of those, and I feel like this is like the 4th time in my life I've been exposed to that being a thing, and probably 3 of those 4 were you mentioning it.
Yeah, probably.
And every time I'm like, God damn, that's a really good idea. I should get one. And then I forget about it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to go get one of those. I had one, it was like a coffee grounder that we got for a wedding gift like 10 years ago. Then like all good things in my life that I find a good use for later, my wife has already sold it at a garage sale.
Oh, no.
So it's gone. And so now I have to go spend money on a thing I already had that I got for free as a wedding gift. God damn.
That's unfortunate. What about, okay, I like the paper towel is nice, but the blue paper towel, the lint-free one, that's very nice. Whenever you like, say you have like a model, like a resin model that you like cleaned off like with soap and water, and you want to like dry it off faster because you want to paint it right away. I find that when I use paper towel, oftentimes it'll tear and get stuck on like the nooks and crannies of the model, but I'll like often like leave like some like scuff, like some atch, some paper towel residue on the model that I like then brush off with you know, like the makeup brush that people bought a long time ago for like dry brushing and shit. Mm-hmm. I think those brushes are way better at dusting off minis.
Yes, they are.
I got some dusty minis that I assembled a long time ago. You just dust them right off with that thing. But so yeah, I have to do that when I use paper towel. But with the blue stuff, it's lint free. Got none of that.
Yeah. You exposed me to that last time I was here for the stream.
I also exposed you to other things as well.
Yeah, and that's why we got this Bang over here. Not a sponsor. I bought a case of Bang at Costco. It's the only time I get Bang is if I buy it.
All right, you got anything else?
Yeah, I got something.
Yeah, I got a little something.
I got a something. I don't know. Do I? These big old giant rolls of paper that you can use for like art or for like a workspace. They come in big giant rolls. It's just big giant rolls of fairly thin paper. Act like nothing happened. Scott just dropped his phone on the metal fucking table. Because there's a couple of uses for that. So you can roll it out and you can use painter's tape to tape it off and then on your work area.
Yeah.
That way you don't, like I airbrush wherever you're airbrushing and stuff, keep your nice desk nice and pretty. If you're doing any kind of sloppy work or stuff with a bunch of lot of glue and things like that, and you prevent it from getting all over everywhere. I just found it's really useful. You can even like, you have that, if you have that big roll of that stuff at your disposal, like, oh, I need to tape off a big section of something on this tank or on this knight or something. You can just tape the edges and just kind of crinkle that around, and it works pretty good. So having a big roll of, I just use black paper, and I bought on Amazon. I just feel like I feel like it's for any hobbyist, it's useful to have that.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a craft roll of it too. I bought like the holder from Uline. It's got like the little thing that you can put down in the roll so you can get like a nice clean tear off of it. Yes.
Yeah, it's also great. You just put your wrapping paper in there in the holiday season.
There you go.
You just unroll it right there.
Just come to the office and do some presents.
Yeah.
You know what this conversation is making me realize is that now in our current day and age of mini painting hobby goodness, we have a lot of tools that are designed for us. We're not having to scrounge around for other things that aren't like what our exact needs are.
Yeah, and most of the things that, I'm not saying all of them, because there's still a lot of innovative or interesting products that are still made new for our hobby, but a large percentage of what's come out for our hobby in the last 5 years is just doing a tweak or marketing it towards us.
Yeah.
But it already existed before.
Right.
And you had to maybe go out of your way, or you needed to hear about it on a Reddit post or watch a video that included it, or this, that, or the other. But if you did a little digging, you could get it cheaper, or you could get one that isn't exactly made for us, but it works well. And that's where people are like tweaking the specific needs and making a tailored product.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of, light molding paste for snow is amazing. From anything, I use the golden variety from an art supply store. If you need snow on a base, just one product that looks great, light molding paste, got you covered.
It got you covered.
Okay.
I mean, there's other ones like having a Dremel is really really useful.
Vacuum, battery powered vacuum.
Oh, bro, you don't even know, little vacuums sucking up all the shits.
Yeah, dude, all the little resin shavings or like dirt or anything, just being able to clean up your desk like really easily is nice.
And anything that keeps you organized, that's storage.
My gosh.
And also allows you easy access and visual access to be able to get what you need to get quickly and easily. And this is something we don't really talk about when we're talking about, tools and stuff for the hobby, but I feel it's super important that you know where your stuff is, that I know it's vaguely around here, but I can just pull out these couple of clear totes that are the right height, and I can put all of my texture pastes, all of my stuff for terrain bits, and all of my bits for my different armies and everything. And it's not a specific product, but I just think having a thing that you find that works well for you, and a great place to go look for those are like the craft stores like Michael's, because they're pretty cheap, especially you use that 50% off coupon. You can get a lot of different things. Like I found this big one that's for stamping. like people like do stamping as a hobby. They buy a buttload of stampers.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so they sell these big clear tubs that are a big square, and they're about 2 inches thick, and you just pop the top, and you can put all your paints in there, and you can close it. That's my like overflow paint storage.
Okay.
And so I can go through and I can just look at the top, and I can tell what's what brand. If I'm smart, I put a little bit of that color on the top of the bottle, whatever. I know exactly what color. So if you don't have space or you don't have a wall dedicated to having a big paint rack and stuff like that, you can fit a couple of those in a desk drawer, and you just shoot all your paints and your inks, anything like that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And also in regards to storage and organization, I'm going to shout out the Container Store. I bought this little wall mountable like thing that has like drawers you can pull out of it. It's all plastic. So mostly small little bins, but also some like really big bins too. And the drawers can come out fully and be taken away somewhere else. And I have organized my bits into there, and I've organized them by whatever, like style, design, and also like body type. So it's like an arm or like legs or heads or whatever. And I can just grab one of those little boys, pull it out, and then go over, come back, put it right back in.
I've collected a number of those over the years by going to garage sales.
Yeah, baby.
And picking up people's nuts, bolts, and screws containers, because they're basically that same kind of thing, and you can get them cheap at garage sales.
Garage sales are the best. Fucking, what else is there? We got resale stores, garage sales. You have, what's it called? An estate sale when someone passes away and they're selling all their stuff.
Yeah, that's where you can get a lot of cool tools and stuff.
Dude, yeah. If you're patient, you can find a lot of great stuff there.
Yeah. I just hope that estate sales don't go the same way as a lot of storage locker auctions are going, which are like all online.
Oh,
they have
really?
They have pictures of everything, and you can bid online, and so it just drives up the prices of everything.
Okay.
And depending where you're at, the more rural areas you are, still do it old school and be like, it's just a sign on the road and it's in the newspaper or some shit. Estate sale.
All right, that was a good number of items. Thank you, Dustin, for the question. All right, what's the next one here, Johnny boy?
Okay, here's a quote by Leonardo da Vinci, not Leonardo DiCaprio.
Okay, thank you.
Man of the Iron Mask. Art
of all the fucking movies, that's the one.
Yeah, not Deception, not Django Unchained, not Titanic. Man in the Iron Mask. Not What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
Yeah,
that's a fucking banger.
That is a good one.
Okay, here's the actual quote by Leonardo da Vinci. Art is never finished, only abandoned. So, with that in mind, what are some pieces that you've had to walk away from, and why? And any you want to revisit? ? What are some of the telltale signs for you that it's time to walk away? And this is by Regan Helms.
Thank you, Regan.
That's a badass name.
I have a question for you. Have you ever painted a model and then stopped painting it because you were so frustrated by the process, or you just weren't having any fun and you have no intention of ever painting it again, and then you put it away?
No.
Has that ever happened?
No.
Okay, it's never happened to me either.
No.
If I stop painting, it's because I'm like, I'm going to paint that later, or I only wanted to paint one part of the model and now I'm done.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Or I am to a point on this, I got to go do something for either another video, or there's competition coming up, or, I want to finish my warband or whatever. Like, it's not a fuck you. You're gone.
Yeah.
I've never felt that. If I feel that, typically what I tell myself is, if that's what I'm going to, if I'm leaning into that, I just fucking rush.
Yeah.
I'll get it done. I'm just going to get it done because I know I'm not coming back to it.
Right.
So when I look at this on the shelf, do I want it to be a half-ass paint job or just half painted, which is going to be better?
Half-ass.
Yeah.
Every single time. Yeah, I am the exact same way. And I think you can kind of figure that out pretty early on in the painting process, whether you're going to really enjoy what you're doing or you're not. So yeah, I would say the question, when do you know when to walk away? I think the question maybe is, when do you know when to speed up and stop caring as much? And yeah, it's just like when you kind of sense, when you suss out you're not having a lot of fun, or you might even know going into it. Like, say you're painting an army, right? And you've been batch painting Space Marines for decades, and you got 10 more to do, and you're just like, fuck.
Just 10 more.
Yeah, just 10 more after you've painted fucking thousands. Then yeah, you probably want to speed through that because you know it's not going to be fun.
I will say that shit. I had something to say and I completely lost it. I think. Oh, here it is. I found the nugget. I think there's different personalities, and we often have the same brainwaves on certain things. That there are people that's not how their brain works.
Sure.
So, and I think Regan is probably speaking a bit of themselves in the question, and that is there are people that hold each model to maybe on a little bit more of a pedestal than we do, and that this is a cool model. I spent money on this. I want to give it all it deserves, which is everything of me. And if that's the way you approach things, that's the way you paint, there's nothing wrong with that, because we do it differently. It doesn't mean we're doing it right and you're doing it wrong, or vice versa. It's just different mindsets to take with it. And so I can see where people would feel what we're talking about and then just feeling guilty or feeling like they would rather stop and come back to it when they're refreshed or when they are excited again for it. So do that. I find that if there's something that I'm not excited painting, I shouldn't paint it. Whether that means finishing it in the next hour or that means stopping and coming back to it if and when I want to. It's more important that I spend my time doing something I'm enjoying doing. I think that's the key. That said, this Da Vinci quote, when I first read the quote and then read the rest of his question, was I feel like they're differentiated. They're different. I get his connection to that, but what I view that as was under the lens rather, that art is never done.
Correct. Yeah.
You can always futz, you can always improve, you can always evolve, adapt, whatever, a single piece. And that's a learning lesson that we constantly go through every time we paint a model, is when am I ready to be done?
Right. And maybe to give Reagan the benefit of the doubt, maybe that's what his question is. It's like, how do I know when to call a miniature done and to stop futzing on it?
Yeah. I think there is no right or wrong answer to that, but rather there should be the question that you ask yourself and then just say, this is my answer to the question, and then that decision is made. For me, it's one is, are you satisfied, and do you have it within you to continue to where you feel you would be satisfied or feel you've learned something more before you consider that done? Or if you're just satisfied or happy with it now, that means you're done.
Yes.
If you're to that point, you're done. And be happy because you did learn, you did improve through the whole process. You shouldn't have to push yourself to this level where you feel obligated to, even though that's not what your gut is telling you. And that's one of the reasons why competition painting, the highest level painting, is so hard to do, is because you have to take that gag reflex of I'm done and you shove it down, and you just pound that slab of meat.
Dude, I don't understand how some people, that's just all they do.
Yeah.
Like
David Soper.
It takes a special kind of person to be able to do that, and I am not that kind of person. I can say that like confidently. I could not just paint competition minis. It's such a exercise.
Yes. Oh gosh. So David Soper, and there's another one.
I mean, Robin McLeod. I mean, Jamie Cordwell. Like all those guys.
There's
all. I mean, could you say Mamicon? All he does is paint display models. Like there are many of them, and that's all they do.
Well, I can't believe I can't think of this dude's name, but he was just like won. Like he might have won the overall best in show at World Model Expo just a couple weeks ago.
Did they release that info anywhere?
I don't remember, but I know Andy was talking about it on the Cult of Paint podcast. And I can't believe I can't remember this dude's name, but just like he was mentioned in the same breath as David Soper of, it takes more than a year to finish one piece. And that's different than everything you paint
is a display model.
Is a high level display model.
Yeah,
it is like a grueling, like everything, every stone is given like the utmost care, the utmost depth in layers and layers.
I fucking love that idea. I love that idea. And I'd love to be the person who could do that, but I am not the person who can do that, sadly.
Yeah.
So yeah, when do you know when to be done? I think it's a lot of things. I think John touched on the most important thing, and that is your joy. Your joy is a barometer for when things are done, because this is a hobby. It's meant to have fun, and it's the most important baby in the world to take care of. If you are not having fun anymore, you are not going to paint, and you're not going to be productive. So that's an important thing. If you're turning this into work, that's a bad thing. You could also like be more technical about it. Like if you're painting a dude for an army, for instance, and you begin the futzing process, and you futzed for 2 hours, and let's say you snapped a picture before that point and one now, and you don't notice much of a difference from a 5-foot distance, you're done. Like you're not making any visible improvements on that army man, and there is no value in what you're doing. So it's a mixture of, am I still enjoying this process? Is this good? Am I painting, and it's a mixture of that, and also, am I painting a model for a competition? Am I painting a model for an army? Is it a hero in my army? Like this is all like a gradient, a sliding scale that you can adjust based on what you're doing. But yeah, so it takes some introspection to know when you're done, but hopefully that is some insight.
Yeah. There he is. Albert Moreto Font.
Oh yeah, Moreto Fonte.
That's it. They used just the right time. I found it just as you finished your last sentence.
That guy is amazing. And I was thinking that we should have done this for Golden Demon. We should just go through, if there are pictures of them, like the people that won. If it's not too many, you could maybe do a couple, like people who won the various categories, and just talk about them and share our thoughts on each model and stuff like that.
That would be a cool topic.
I thought, yeah, and then we could, have the picture up the entire time of the model and just chat about it, and yeah.
Yeah, and we make silly jokes about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
just shit on people that are way better than us, and then they come out with pitchforks and kill us.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like it's great entertainment right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Regan, for that. That was a great question.
Yeah. And the last one's from James the Rider Goblin himself.
Rider Goblin.
What do you think is the most interesting Warhammer army? Ooh. I really like Ultramarines.
I think the Red Space Marines.
Fuck Space Marines.
No. The Black Space Marines.
Okay, actually, you're right. I like those ones. Not Space Marines. The most interesting, well, I feel like it's the ones that we paint, because why would we not paint the ones we find the most interesting, right?
I guess it's in the semantics of defining interesting versus most visually appealing
or
to us.
Cool. Like maybe there's some difference there.
So interesting might mean like the most unique.
Oh, you know what? I got an answer to this.
Okay.
Let's do sci-fi and 40K, because it said Warhammer specifically.
Well, sci-fi is 40K, so...
What, did I say sci-fi and 40K?
Yes, you did.
Let's do 40K and fantasy. Sorry.
Okay.
So starting out 40K, I think the most interesting army, I'm piqued by Gene Stealer cults.
Good one.
I fucking hate Tyranids.
Good answer.
I don't paint any Gene Stealer cults, but I totally would. I love the Mad Max like desert dirt bike vibe. I think they're very cool. They're just enough Alien for me to not feel like it's based on Alien the franchise or like Zerglings and StarCraft 2. I'm not like a huge fan of like monsters and creatures and shit like that, but they don't really feel like creatures. They feel mostly humanoid. And the aesthetic is super cool with the goggles and stuff, and they're all like science-y, like mad scientists. I think they're super interesting. Do you have an answer for 40K? I think it's okay to say the armies you paint. Like that's fine.
I do, but I'm just quickly going to hit. Okay, I'm just gonna go over Space Marines. I mean, there's one interesting thing. I will just say this about Space Marines in general. It's enough of a unique aesthetic to general sci-fi. Like their IP of what their heavily armored space soldier looks like is really fucking good.
Yeah.
Like they've got that down. As an army though, in the game, it's so fucking samey same. I really struggle with that. It's like, oh, if I'm paying 2,000 points of this, I'm just gonna put a gun in my head. But
I think also just because as hobbyists, we're just inundated with Space Marines constantly, and so they just because of that, they seem less interesting. But also, as a Space Marine hater, I am able to say that Space Marines are really cool. Like, they look really cool. There are really cool design elements about them. Even the story is cool. Like, I know John was getting up in arms about the whole circle jerky way of how Black Library writes, but even me, I get a little tingle in my dingle when I read that stuff. It's like, it's cool shit, and I'm a nerd. So
it is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go with, because there's a couple here that I could make the argument for. I can't say Tau because they're not like, it's like you went aliens, but they're not like aliens that are also people, but they're just not cool looking enough.
No, they're not cool looking.
I'm gonna have to go with Adeptus Mechanicus.
Okay, actually, I agree with that.
Yeah, because
That's a good answer.
they're robot aliens and fucking tentacle boys, robot Doc Ock shit going on.
But they're also like kind of culty too.
Yeah, there's like the weird robes. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of contrasting and interesting contrast on the models with all the metal and hard surfaces, and then then we have this drapey cloth that's like flowing down the back, but then skittering out the back is this little fucking probe for your beehole. It's like trying to get you. And they're also like they're mechanics, they're the creators, but they also, because of that, they have the ability to create these nasty weapons of war. I just think that the aesthetic of them is really cool, and they have a nice variety. They got the whole ST walker things, the big two-leggers, like, and they look like big old ostriches without any heads.
Yep. More retro looking, kind of like robot dudes.
Yeah, they have a lot of variety in the army too, which is really cool. You got guys on these big old like wingy things that just kind of look like they're on gliders.
Yes. That's
again,
kind of weird.
And like that, that's I think a really cool and interesting aesthetic design, that you didn't just make them like big metal bird wings, which is what the obvious choice would be, because they're robot dudes with everything metal. They have these big cloth things that go between the spines on the wings, whether it's the individual dudes that have the jetpacks with those, or they're big flying like vehicles. They use those same cloth wings, so you get this variety of texture, and it's more interesting. You're not just looking at like hard surface on hard surface, and it just kind of all melds together.
Yeah. I think one thing about Adeptus Mechanicus and Gene Stealer cults that I like a lot, just in like their backstory, is that they both have this like religious zealotry about them, which is like a story, like a backstory that I really like. I love people who are like kind of fanatics about like a religion, because I think those people are like super interesting, and they're both kind of like that. So yeah, I'm proud of us. Those are two great answers for 40K.
Yeah, we're good.
Look at us. All right, now fantasy, the much better version, the most interesting. I'm looking at the list right now, and a couple that are kind of popping out to me. I've shit on dwarves in the past, but I kind of like
squats.
No.
Squats.
Oh, no more fucking Hangar looking motherfuckers. Okay. Not squats, but I don't necessarily like the two versions of dwarves we see in Age of Sigmar, but I love a good standard heavily armored like Longbeard or Hammerer from the old dwarf range. Daughters of Cain have always been interesting to me.
Like dino riders? No. Dinosaurs riding dinosaurs?
I am not a fan of Lizardmen. Are you a fan of Lizardmen?
No.
Okay. No. You know what? I feel like I want to say Daughters of Cain, but that just feels like kind of the same thing as the two we just said. They're kind of crazy. They're kind of fanatical. They got this god they follow, the god of murder and blood.
They got a whole. They like wheel around a giant cauldron the size of a house that's filled with blood.
That's so fucking epic?
It's just like a big boiling pot of blood, and they're just on like old timey wheels. It's like
yeah. How's it move? What moves that thing? Hate.
Yeah. Obviously. This is Warhammer. It's hate. Can I mention, we just talked briefly about the Lizardmen. I had a whole moment in reading that Black Library book. I'm going back to the goddamn book again. They mention in that book an example of in a primitive world, they had these big nasty beasts known as carnosaurs. Carnosaurs aren't in 40K. Carnosaurs are in fantasy. That's an actual model, an actual thing in Age of Sigmar is a carnosaur. They talk about it in the 40K book. And I'm like, what the fuck? Is this the same universe?
How sure are you?
I'm 100% sure.
That carnosaurs have never occurred in 40K lore.
I'm not saying they've never occurred in 40K lore.
Okay, what are you saying?
I'm saying they used the exact word, spelled the exact same way, because I stopped and looked it up in my phone.
Okay.
Carnosaur, which is the big T-Rex looking dinosaur, little dinosaurs ride in Age of Sigmar, Seraphon.
Yeah.
So if they have the exact same term, that's a word that doesn't exist outside of the Warhammer universe, that word also equates to 40K.
Yeah.
Does that mean
yes, it does.
we're going to get Stormcast Eternals?
We already have. They're called Space Marines.
Oh, shit.
No. I thought you were going to ask, does that mean that Age of Sigmar is pre-40K? And the answer, that's always been a question. And I feel like the answer is yes.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Because dinosaurs have been around millions of years. It makes sense that they're the thing that's still around.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same thing.
I mean, the demons and the demon gods. The daemon. You have to spell it with an A.
Yeah.
So we can
brand it.
Yes, you can't use our word. It's like forks with a K. And it just feels like Zinch is the person that's behind the legal department.
I got you.
We got
you. Okay, I have an actual answer to this question, and my answer is Flesh Eater Courts. Not aesthetically interesting to me, but very just interesting in general.
Oh,
because I love how they think they look like royalty.
They think they are.
But they're just slobbering ghouls. They're just eating corpses. They're just nasty boys. But they're under this massive delusion. I also love all the names they have for things. Like the abhorrent ghoul king on Terrorgeist.
Yeah.
What a fucking word.
We spell guys with an H so they cannot steal it from us.
Yes. But yeah, dude, Flesh Eater Courts, yeah, they're very interesting.
Yeah, that's a good one. I wish that the models reflected how interesting the story behind them is.
How would you change them?
Just a lot more variations. Because
Okay.
you have there's a vast sea of unscrupulous undead, monstrous undead.
What was the generic term for undead?
What do you mean?
The one you used earlier in the ad spot. It was like gobbledygoobs.
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah, you use it all the time.
Yeah, gobbledygoobs. Yeah, this just in. We're changing the term Flesh Eater Court to gobbledygoobs.
Gobbledygoober.
I assume that gobbledygoobs is a new unit under the Gloomspite Gitz army, though.
Yeah, definitely.
They're just goblins. It's just 3 goblins in a trench coat.
They're gonna get
the gobbledygoobs.
Yes.
They're gonna come get you. Yeah, I just they're too much all naked dudes.
Yeah.
I wish we could let's go. Okay, all right, design team. We got hunched over naked dude. We got that one.
We got a bigger one.
We got a bigger one.
Got one with wings now.
Yeah, we got hunched over naked dude. We got big hunched over naked dude. We got big hunched over naked dude with wings. All right, we're done. It's Friday. Yeah, just some variation because there's so much that you could go with in that army that I feel like it's you could even go with how they view themselves in a certain way. What if they dressed in this way? You have the leader models have a gnarled old moth-eaten wig they put on their fucking head.
The ruff around there.
Right.
And they have makeup on that's kind of smearing a little bit.
Yeah, and it's all rotten. It's all decayed because they're just digging through corpses all day. It's gonna get dirty.
Yeah,
they're gonna lose a shoe.
Yeah. They're holding one of those cavalry sabers.
Yeah,
and it's got one of the tassels on it or shit.
Yeah, they never actually use it. They still just bite your face.
I think a conversion is.
Yeah,
nearby.
you could make a pretty badass conversion of the court.
Dude, there's a video right there, John. What Flesh Eater Keats cults should look like.
Yes,
And it's like
courts
here's
as well.
here's the start one, and then here's the ending one. Boom, thumbnail, before and after, gets all the clicks. Love it.
Yeah, that's a pretty fucking good idea.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
My favorite one. I think the most interesting. I feel like there's a lot more interesting ones in fantasy for me, and that's just because I like fantasy more.
Yeah.
I'm torn between two, but I'm going to stick with Skaven. Why Skaven?
Ratmen.
Because they're more than just rats. They are the Skaven, and we can make sure no one says that word. It is our word now.
I love how like the voice of GW is like some sneaky Frenchman.
I assume it's just, oh God, what was his name? Jaime. The guy we met. That was French dude from GW. I can't even remember his name.
I don't remember meeting a French
Darren,
guy.
tell me.
David.
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 I remembered his name was a regular English name, but it was said in a French way, so I couldn't think of it. I was like, James Jaime? Jaime's? Nope, not even close.
You were saying James?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, David.
Yeah, like David is the guy in charge of the GW voice in the background.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Oh, what we should do is they cannot just take anything that we want them to take.
Yeah.
It's ours now. It is for us to have always.
Yes.
And croissant.
Yeah.
Croissant.
I mean, yeah, David's way too cool to be that evil person. But yeah.
Skaven. Skaven have this storied history, and they always have like this underlying connection to everything that happens, literally underground.
Yes, literally and metaphorically, yeah.
Yeah, and they're just always looking for their precious, right? In the warp stone, they just need it. It needs it because it makes them happy.
Yeah.
And it allows them to do things
Absolutely.
that usually spell their own demise and blow themselves up. But it's like they have a singular purpose, and if they get if they cross the beams, they can blow up anything, themselves included.
Yes.
And so it's like broken up too. Like they have the different clans, and so each clan it looks differently, it acts differently, how they go about things is differently, but if they still all have the same unifying goal. Like it feels like a fleshed out, interesting idea, and I love that it's like there's distinction within the army. And how that they're willing to kind of work together as long as it's both gets their precious at the end of the day. And so I just like them. I wish they had more updates and their models, because some of their newer stuff is freaking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like the Storm Fiends, like the big giant rat with the little rat and the big mutant thing.
Fangqual, Bone Ripper.
Yes. Bonesaw. like he's just like they force fed him like he was a duck and they wanted his liver.
Rat foie gras.
Yeah, we're going back to the French.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they just stuff him full of fucking warp stone until he goes like.
Yes.
He's the size of a house.
There you go.
And he looks badass, and there's so many of those things. And like,
Vermin Lords, dude.
oh my god, Vermin Lord's got to be one of like the top 5 favorite models in all of Age of
They're
Sigmar.
so cool. They're so cool.
Yes, they have the rat gods, bro, and then they got fucking ninja rats.
Yes.
Dude.
Oh, the freaking, I don't know if it's Underworlds or Warcry like thing that came out recently for Skaven. Those
Warcry.
Yeah, those guys are so.
Oh no, they're Underworld. Sorry, it's in the box, the Underworld's box, the new.
Oh, okay. There's a new Underworlds one.
Yeah, there is.
We're no longer in Hallow Deep or whatever it's called.
We're in Butt Forest.
Okay, Butt Forest.
Yes.
Good. Noted.
Deep within the realm of Butt Forest.
I just played some Warhammer Underworlds recently, and I got fucking clapped. I got destroyed,
Bro.
like fucking 12-3. It was bad.
You bust out those vampires, bro.
I have only done it once.
Okay.
They're strange.
They're strange. How are they strange?
Because they have a mechanic where I think it's called a hunger token or something like that like gives you things but also is bad. But you have like spells like Vile Transference that can like transfer these hunger tokens to like enemies. And I don't know why you'd ever want to do that. So they're different. They're a little bit different. I'm trying them out some more.
I gone hungry. That's Hunger Strike.
Okay.
Temple of Dogs. It's like you give them hunger and they're hungry.
Yeah.
And then there's like over there eating oatmeal cream pies. And you're like, plow, dead.
Yeah. Okay.
That's why.
The oatmeal cream pie distraction.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like you flip it like a little frisbee. You're like, oh, sweet snack.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a strategy. They feel like they would play like a very cerebral warband. Like you can't just like set them out like orcs and just smash. Like
No.
you got to be strategic.
Yeah, they're not very like, obvious, at least for me. Some more thinking has to go on.
Yes.
Skaven's good. Okay, lore check. I want to do this thing called lore check now.
Lore.
Can you name one Skaven clan?
Eshin.
Boom. 2.
Pestilence.
God damn.
There's a third one. Scryer.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I did not know that third one. So you're beating me right now.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
Dude, there was a time.
There was a time long ago
I was so brokenhearted.
in a galaxy far, far away.
Love wasn't much.
We are.
Of a friend of mine.
We are crossing streams right now.
Yeah. You were Star Wars. I was Aerosmith.
Yeah.
There was a time when I was deciding which army I was going to play when I was very new to this hobby, and it was between the death. My final 2 choices were between Legions Nagash and Skaven.
2 horde armies.
Yeah, I was
Painting minis.
I was a dumb young pup that didn't know.
And then you're like, I'm going to play Ozark Bone Reapers.
Boner Boys.
Yeah, it's just more things to paint.
And Night Haunt.
Yeah, what the fuck is wrong with you?
And then I sold most of my Night Haunt.
Feels bad.
And then they just got a new book in the new edition, and they're fucking cool again.
Oh, okay. So you're doing what your wife did to you, having to rebuy things you already had.
Yeah, this is my fault.
Okay.
This is my fault. Okay. All right, we're going to talk about the newsy news. And the first thing I want to talk about is a new airbrush. Harder and Steenbeck is bringing us a new airbrush known as the Kiev Infinity. And there's a story behind this airbrush. And while we were over in England, we got to meet the wonderful Warwick of Harder and Steenbeck. We got a little bit of a sneak peek into this airbrush and the origins of it. Long story short, Harder and Steenbeck has employees, they have friends, and they have artists that they work with that are in the Ukraine. And they have been working as best they can to support people in this time of war that are impacted. One of the people that was greatly impacted is an artist known as Angela. And Angela and her family live in Ukraine and were displaced by the war. Angela has a ton of amazing artwork. I should say that she is a traditional artist that uses the same Harder and Steenbeck airbrushes that we use for miniatures, which is really interesting.
Nice.
She's an amazing artist, and her artwork is all over the walls of a number of buildings in the Ukraine, but particularly a specific hospital. And Harder and Steenbeck has produced this airbrush in combination with Angela, where a percentage of the proceeds will all go back directly to this hospital, that they will have support, that they will have the supplies that they need, that in this trying time that they will be able to help in any way that they can. So you're seeing on the screen right now the 2 versions of the Kiev Infinity. One is the light and one is the dark. And they are to signify that in humanity, there are both light and dark times. But the secret is inside that airbrush. It is plated in gold, meaning that in the inside, truly there is good. And so we just need to see that. So if you do choose to support Harder and Steenbeck, Angela, and Ukraine with the purchase of this airbrush, like I said, not only will you be supporting the efforts, and this money goes directly to those who need it. It does not go to some big charity or anything. It goes directly to the people that are affected. But I'm also told that if you purchase one, your name will be in a drawing for a large original art piece done by Angela.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, pretty cool.
All right, next item on the news thing, we have our LVO classes, which I think is more than halfway filled up by now. Thank you all to the supporters out there who've bought our class.
There's a lot of good PPs that want to join us for 2 days of rockin' and rowdy mini painting.
He's got it. So if you want to come out and enjoy painting the Duchess for 2 days straight, where you get the model, access to the full digital course, access to a laminated PDF that you can use as a quick reference guide while painting it, and also after the class, you want to get access to John physically.
You want to bang?
You want to bang? Come on out to LVO and take our class. 2-day long class, 8 hours each day. We're serious.
I would like to say that I was holding up my can of Bang when I said that for the audio listeners. listeners that didn't have any visual reference.
Right. Oh, right. Yeah.
Banging.
Very important that this is a joke based on a prop he is holding. Because he is not just asking for sex right now. John would not do that.
No, not typically. We also want to talk a little bit more about some other classes because, like I said, as of the recording of this, there are a couple seats available. You want to grab one of those last seats to join us, please do that. But there's a lot of other amazing artists teaching, whether it's short form, like our good buddy Duncan Rhodes.
Take me home.
To some full day classes, to some all-inclusive experience classes that are like 3 days long.
Yeah, and they like pick up at the airport in like a limo and stuff like that. You get the food too.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what you get, but I think you get a lot. I think they like wipe your bottom every time you go poo poo.
Probably
3 days. But there's some crazy awesome classes by like good buddy Lil Andy Wardle is teaching one of those. Our good buddy Benjamin Comets is teaching one of those. Caleb Wissenbeck's teaching one of those.
Nice. Wait, Ben Comets is coming to LVO?
Yeah, Ben and Matt.
I am now more excited.
Matt Sexrich is going to be there.
Heck yeah.
Steve Garcia is going to be there. He's teaching one of the all-inclusive courses. I want to highlight, so we're each going to highlight one of the courses that we've looked through that if we weren't teaching, we would like to take.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to shout out the course. I for sure would take this just... So one, because he's an amazing painter and I get to, hang out with him. But two, is I get to come up with even more nicknames for my good buddy Slick Willie, a.k.a. Willie Hanna, a.k.a. Will Hahn.
Yeah.
So you get to take a class. I think it's like one full day with Willie, and it might be 2 days. I'm sorry, you're going to have to actually read the description, unlike me. But Will's an amazing American painter, award winner, all-star. Cuts his fucking fingers off and still duct tapes them back on and paints minis. That's how hardcore this dude is.
Yeah, dude.
So, and just a super nice guy. We got to meet him in person for the first time at Adepticon this last year.
Oh, not really, though, because he was in his hotel room painting the entire time.
Yeah, then I just made fun of him for the rest of the time.
Yes.
I come to Adepticon and sit in my hotel room painting minis. Yeah. God damn it, Will. But yeah, somebody that I definitely would like to learn from because his understanding of lights, volumes, and color is pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah. The class that I want to shout out is Anthony Wang's class on weathering. I would love to see what kind of teacher he is. I love all of his pieces. They're very moody and very atmospheric. I remember his Sepulchral Guard piece, Golden Demon. Yeah. Lovely like teal colors throughout every single model in that unit. So yeah, I would love to hear from him. I've never taken a class from him. I've never seen him teach before. I think it'd be a really cool experience.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about Anthony and his teaching style. What's really odd to me is that his pieces are always super dramatic and like super, almost like intense is the word I would describe them as. He's the most lighthearted, like fun-loving dude of anybody that I meet when I go to those places. He's just always just like super happy-go-lucky. He's like a fucking golden retriever.
Yeah, dude.
And I'm just like, man, what deep down inside of you got some angst?
He's got some anger in there.
Yeah,
to get out in his art.
I know, and he just gets it all out, and that just means he's happy all the time.
There you go. He's purges.
He's got it figured out, man.
Yeah,
he's got it figured out. So shout out to those two guys. Shout out to all the other classes. We're gonna have links in the description below, not only directly to our class, but to these classes that we mentioned, and all the LVO ones you can scroll through and see. Next news piece is on something else with the LVO, and that's
the LVO painting competition.
Yeah,
which is an open system, meaning there isn't like first, second, third in every single category. There's a best in show and then a second and third best in show, but it's open, so everyone gets gold, silver, and bronzes based on not only the skill like category they're in, but also like the category, like whether it's single sci-fi, single fantasy, etc. So there are 6 categories, 3 skill levels. I'm assuming beginner.
Oh no, I know this. It's kids, it's journeyman, and it's master.
Dude, speaking of master puppets, well, we'll get to that later. It's $1,000 cash prize
for first place.
$500 for second place, $250 for third place, and then obviously tons of awesome products from their various sponsors. So
I guess there's products for I don't know if it's everyone, but like for placing, just getting medals in your category. They have all these sponsors that are donating stuff.
Are you bringing stuff? Why wouldn't we?
I'm
going to drop a bomb on this place.
Yeah, bombs over Baghdad.
I'm going all 6. What the fuck? All 6 categories. I'm filling them up, baby.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the problem is look at all the names of the people that are freaking coming to teach classes. But I guess it's open.
It's open. Wait, you're right.
It's fucking open, baby.
I mean, I'm not saying it's free medals, but I feel like I might be able to nab one or two.
Yeah. I'm going to bring, I think I will at least bring my piece that I had for Golden Demon.
Oh, for sure. And bring your dragon. Unless
shit.
we got to travel with that dragon, though.
Oh, shnikes.
That was two different oh shits right there. You were like, oh shit. Then you were like, oh shit.
God damn. I don't know. Okay, that way I got to put my mind to it now. I'll start thinking now.
Yeah. There you go. Okay, yeah, so if you have anything you want to enter into the elbow painting competition, check it out. Okay. Also, Master Puppets. Are you familiar with Stranger Things?
I'm not to the... I know what you're talking about,
Okay.
but I'm not to that point. I'm only 4 episodes in.
Okay.
But I did hear a little thing about Eddie.
Yeah.
Eddie playing Master of Puppets 2 weeks after it would have released in that album, according to the timeline.
Yes.
And he learned the song without the internet and no tabs that would have yet been printed.
Yes.
Now, I can tell you, if you're good, you can suss stuff out, but maybe not like the whole fucking band version. No, every part in 2 weeks. That's probably a lot.
Have you seen the scene that I'm referring to right now?
I think I might have seen a clip where they're like in fucking demon hell and they're on top of a cliff or something.
Bro, okay, I haven't watched any of season 4, but that clip makes me want to watch season 4. I kind of feel like Stranger Things has definitely played itself out. I'm not like really interested in the story anymore, but that fucking scene with that kid shredding Master Puppets on a goddamn mountain in a fucking hellstorm.
Yeah.
With fucking bat boys flying around.
Little bat boys go,
Dude, it's so awesome.
Full out of strength.
Dude,
Yeah.
I would love it.
I'll tell you from a couple episodes in so far, they kind of have shed the skin of like trying to keep innovating and being amazing, because they kind of lost the momentum in that.
Yeah,
and this one is just like, we are what we are. We're doing the thing again.
Okay.
Right? But in a good way.
Okay.
Like I think like the last season, like it still was like trying to like continue to like wow you in a different way, and this one's like, it doesn't feel like it's trying to do that anymore.
Okay, kind of almost like a mystery, kind of like thriller detective movie, like in the 3rd season. So this one's kind of just like full on like,
yeah, like, oh shit, it's back.
Okay,
you know, and then like it's just where the kids are in the story and stuff with Hopper and stuff. Yeah, anyway,
all right, next item.
Here in the Stranger Things news segment.
Kingdom Death's running a pinup painting contest.
Yeah, and this is a 3-month long contest, which is really smart of them.
Holy cow.
Well, yeah, because if they announce it, I mean, who's just got like a whole wall of pinups chilling on their wall? Some people do, but not very many.
Well, you got a problem, brother.
I know. I can't kick this fucking cough. Anyway, so yeah, we have a link down below you can check out. They have the full rules, a full breakdown, everything for the Kingdom Death painting pinup competition, and it seems like it's legit. It looks like they put a fair amount of work into it. Everything's spelled out really well, prizes and that kind of stuff. So it's not just oh hey, let's just do a Facebook painting competition. It seems really respectable.
Okay, nice. I'm gonna enter this one too. I got one pinup.
Oh, that's right. You got big booty elf.
Yeah,
big booty elves. Maybe I should do a video where I paint a big booty elf and then I can enter.
Don't do that. I already did that.
Oh shit!
No, paint the same one.
Scott painted a big booty elf, so I did it better.
I mean, that'd be brutal. All right, more news. We got Steamforged Games acquiring Rivet Wars, the IP, so they can start making board games in that universe. Rivet Wars, if you're not familiar, is a diesel punk tactical miniature game by Ted Terranova, who happens to be the artist, one of the artists at least, on Age of Empires 3.
Do you think his born legal name is Terra Nova?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that was the name he was born with?
Yeah.
He didn't change it?
Yeah.
To Terra Nova?
No. Why? Is there something special about that name that I'm not understanding? It's like, is it too cool for you?
Right. That's just like saying my official name is John Batman Spaghetti. Like,
no, it's not, dude. Okay, I went to college with some guy whose name was John Evanstar Brask. His middle name was Evanstar, as in Elrond Evanstar.
yeah, this is a middle name. This is dude's last name, bro.
Okay. Well, like, what is Terra Nova? Whose name is that?
I don't know.
Is it a reference?
No, it's not a reference. I just think it sounded like a cool name, and he changed his name to it. This is the real news. We need to get the crew on this. We need to do some serious sleuthing and see if Ted Terranova, if that is your real name, if that's his real name.
Are you familiar with Rivet Wars? Do you know anything about this game?
No, I know what rivets are, and I know what war is. I assume it's people with guns that shoot little rivets that you put in when you into the steel beams when you're making movies.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
It's not, though.
Oh, shit.
It looks like mostly chibi-inspired or more cartoony military designs in a board game format. Cool. And then the other one I think that you should talk about, because you're the RPG boy, is Roll20 and DriveThruRPG partnering.
Yeah, so Roll20 is a well-known, very popular virtual tabletop, and arguably the biggest one. And so you can go through, blew up especially during the pandemic, where people could play games, whether it's board games, whether it's RPGs, whether it's tabletop war games, on places like Roll20. And apparently they did well because they are partnering together with DriveThruRPG to have this big online shop and digital marketplace for you to procure stuff. Buy your stuff to use in your games that you play with Roll20, which is kind of cool. I feel like a lot of stuff with these virtual tabletop things were all made by the community. Like if the community didn't do a thing, it didn't exist. And a lot of them, they were just to have it out there. So models were like a little circle that said orc on it. And not that there's not better things now, but that's an example of like things were done bare bones so people could play. And so I'm guessing if they're charging and they're partnering up with the company that's really focusing on that, you're going to be able to have some pretty cool things for your games, for, flexibility for what kind of games you play and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it seems like a really good mutually beneficial relationship.
Yes.
That they're both going to get cash from. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Shout out to Ryder Goblin James for having us, talk about actual legit news items. Thank you, James.
Real news.
We love you. Welcome to the end of the podcast. Thank you for sticking around all the way to the end. That makes us feel warm fuzzies inside.
Yeah, that means you were doing a thing long enough that you got through the whole episode of the podcast.
Because you certainly weren't here just for this.
Yeah, so it might be time to make dinner right now. Check the clock. Yep, you got to put the chicky nuggies in the oven. Now it's time to do it. Oh, I fucking forgot, bro. My stinking daughter, she's a little stinker. She fucking... And she's like, we're making chicky nuggies for supper. I'm like, sweet. And she's like, yeah, try them. And I'm like, what are you talking about, try them? I'm sitting down eating dinner. Of course I'll try them. And then she's staring at me while I'm eating the chicky nugget.
You're done, dude.
I'm like, why are you staring at me while I'm chewing this chicky nugget? And she goes, you like it? I'm like, why? She goes, because those are impossible nuggies. I'm like,
I thought you were going to be like, I farted on
it. That's not chicky nugget. It's a mouse I found.
She got you, dude.
Yeah, and I will say the impossible nuggies, it tasted like any other freaking frozen nuggie.
Yeah.
Like it tastes the same, which isn't saying much because those are all tasted like pre-chewed, unidentifiable chicken parts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just pay 4 times as much.
Yeah. Presumably, maybe it's healthier as well. Who knows? But if you want to make us feel more warm and more fuzzy on the inside, you can support the podcast in a variety of ways, both free and not free. Some free ways are watching our YouTube videos without ad blocking. You can whitelist our channels with various browser add-ons. We play an ad every 30 minutes. You can also tell your nerd friends about our podcast. Give us a review on Stitcher, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. If you got cash to spend, it's just burning a hole in your pocket and you have no minis to buy, you can support us on Patreon at the $5
you can still buy
tier.
minis. You still buy minis and support us, Scott.
You can do both.
God damn
if you're
it.
flush. So you can give us $5 a month, and that gets you access to an extended episode of the podcast where we talk about cool models we've seen from other painters in the last 2 weeks, talk about new things we tried and failed at, and we also give feedback to one of our patrons. So as a patron, you can submit models for feedback, and you can also submit topics for us to discuss in our episodes. In this episode, we did 3 questions from various patrons and also our writer. So yeah, you can do that. You can also buy our merch All things linked down in the description or show notes below.
Yeah, and I will say, if you made it this far to the end and you're going to respond by putting something down in the comment section below, that your comment will be extra helpful to us. And that would be, do you find these episodes where we do a bunch of smaller questions instead of one bigger, longer topic? Do you like them? Would you prefer we have more of them? Would you like them roughly, every couple of months as a change of pace? We're curious. We don't intend to abandon long single topics, but these ones are kind of fun. And maybe it keeps it moving and keep jumping around. So if any one question maybe isn't your cup of tea, you don't just turn off the podcast halfway through. We just want you, Goody Peepees, along for the whole ride.
Heck yeah. Well, that's it for this episode. We will catch you on the Flippity